star. Might win an Oscar, you can never tell. The movie's gonna make me a big star.
Hello and welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II here. We're glad you could join us for this escape and this journey into cinema. Beside camera one, Bugsy Malone is here, straight from the streets of wherever he's serving as a gangster. Bugsy, good to see you, man.
Nice to be here. It seems like a lot's happened in the past week since I saw you last.
It does.
I got my car washed, and I bathed the dog.
And I heard you went to Taco Bell or got tacos.
No, we ended up ordering Papa John's instead.
Oh, okay.
What have you been doing?
Well, yeah, nothing much.
Really? See, I troll Facebook a lot, and I get the impression that maybe you've been busy.
Well, I think that was Tim. It was just digital enhancements. That was Tim Foster and Derek. They were the ones that took that trip along with Elvis Nomesley. No, wasn't you? No. All right. Well,
I think Tim was at the Christmas show last weekend.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I was in Hollywood.
Yeah.
An unexpected trip. Got an invite to go see The Irishman.
How do you get an unexpected trip to Hollywood?
Well, it just happened. I got invited to go.
Not to me.
Oh, well, I'm working on that, man. I'm working on that.
Yeah, I bet you are.
There's a new film
I'm
called
waiting.
The Irishman is coming out. It's a new film. It's actually in select theaters now, and on the 27th, you're going to be able to see it on Netflix. And it's a Netflix original, much like last year when I flew up to New York and saw Roma and got a chance to be there for that and for that Q&A with Alfonso Cuarón. Same thing happened this time. Got contacted by Netflix and they said, hey, we want to invite you to come to Hollywood, to the Chinese theater, the world famous Chinese theater, and see.
I think I did place an order with you. I never got the food
Right,
either.
you did. You ordered, yeah, and I got to tell you, that
Peking
food
duck.
that I brought back did not hold out too well on the plane.
Wow.
So sorry. But they invited me to come see The Irishman, and I did not realize it, but it was the red carpet screening for that particular film. So all the stars are there. They're taking the pictures. They've got everything blocked off, so they're there. And that was the reason that I was being invited to come be a part of this.
As a critic, though.
As a critic. Yeah, exactly.
So where do you stand? Are you with the masses, or do you have a special box when you're watching the red carpet?
Well,
parade?
they basically ushered in all the film critics to their seats.
Okay.
But you could, you had your assigned seat.
So you weren't outside watching them
But you
come
could,
in.
yeah, you could get up and go outside and watch.
Right.
So, but no, you didn't have a box. They just wanted to make sure you got in the theater.
I got you.
But the red carpet was pretty fascinating, and there's some great pictures that we've got too that you can see some of that, and also some video of some of the red carpet. I think we've got that.
I downloaded something.
So we'll see.
I haven't looked at it.
But it was just an amazing experience. But Netflix offered to fly us out and kind of take care of us, and it was 2 days of just crazy, just pure crazy. And I was able to get up a day early, which gave me a little extra time. And so I get up, get up there on Wednesday, and Wednesday night kind of explored where Forrest Gump was running on the pier, Santa Monica Pier.
Okay.
The Venice Beach Boardwalk, did that. And then Saturday morning, not Saturday morning, I've lost track of days, but the next morning.
You world travelers have that
I know.
problem.
The next morning I wake up and I'm determined to do something adventurous and I hike Runyon Canyon, which is a beautiful canyon that has these great overlooks of Los Angeles and Hollywood. And it was just gorgeous. And you could see the Hollywood sign and all of that as well. Yeah, that sign, that particular sign. And I was told when you finish the canyon, you're going to be pretty worn out because it's a pretty torturous hike. And it was. And that's even for somebody in shape. And that I am not as in the in shape that I used to be. But I survived.
Is that where they found the black dahlia?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly where it was. Yeah.
Just thinking.
So survived it, and I was told to go to a place called Trivago Coffee. Great coffee, bagels, and all of that stuff, but they said they also have great lemonade, and after a hike like that, when it was 90+ degrees, you're going to probably want some lemonade.
Yeah.
Go down and get the lemonade, sitting around looking to see if I see any stars. I don't, but I do see the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and they've got some things blocked off, some barricades. And so I asked what's going on. They said, oh, there's somebody getting their star today. I said, oh, well, who is it? Well, it's Harry Connick Jr. I'm like, wow. Well, when is that going to happen? I said, 30 minutes. I said, really? Okay, I'll hang around for that. So hung around, and Renee Zellweger was there, as you can see in this picture, and I've got some photos of her that I've shared as well.
I'm a fan of both of theirs.
It was really wonderful to just kind of stumble upon that. She was, she introduced him. She has worked with him over the years on various things, been a longtime friend of his. He came with his wife and 3 daughters, and he's been married for decades, probably 30 years, I think is what he said, to the same woman.
You know what the most amazing fact about what you just told me is that someone in Hollywood's been married to the same person for 30 years.
I know. Well, another thing I did was I went to Quentin Tarantino's new Beverly Cinema. He owns this cinema that's kind of like a Don Gibson,
really?
a Rogers cinema. It's his. He owns it, and he shows a lot of his films, but also a lot of films he's loved on film. So that's the thing.
Okay.
Everything's shown on film. So the film that was screening the night that I wanted to go see the cinema was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So it was his film, and he had cut together some extra trailers and some extra footage that wasn't in the film and showed it beforehand.
Oh.
And then he had one of his crew members kind of come out and talk about it and kind of explain what was going on and what we were going to see.
Yeah.
And that was pretty fascinating.
I'll bet.
That was just to see his film in his theater, but also the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood connection to it.
Right.
Being there in the midst of it, that was a blast.
That's interesting.
And so that was, and I saw Tarantino right before I went in. He was in the restaurant that I was in.
Oh,
So
okay.
I didn't speak to him because I'm not that guy that's going to go up and interrupt someone who is eating a meal.
Right.
But he was right there. But I did see one of my.
He seems kind of like the guy that wouldn't really care.
He probably wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But right beside him was one of my friends that was a film critic. So I went up and started talking to my film critic friend, so I could be literally,
So did you blow off Tarantino? You were looking at your friend. He wasn't at the table with Tarantino.
No.
He was at the table next to Tarantino.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was.
So it wasn't like you came up to Tarantino's table, talked to the other
No.
guy, and blew off Tarantino.
No, I
and
didn't go
walked
up
off.
to Tarantino.
Which, by the way, would have been really
That
cool.
would have been. Well, I was going to ask him if he was having a Royale with cheese, but I figured he's probably been asked that
I
quite a
bet
few
he's heard
times.
that a time or two.
So I stayed away from that. But that was a kind of an added bonus as well, kind of unexpected. And there were stars everywhere, stars that you knew, but also just other character actors that you would recognize. You'd say,
The faces you know, the names you know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So they had the screening, and the
Free
entire,
Twizzlers?
No, we had free popcorn and free drinks, but no Twizzlers. Sorry,
Milk Duds? No?
no milk duds. No candy.
Cheapskates.
No candy. No candy.
Cheapskates.
So we went into the Chinese theater, this iconic place. Watched this 3.5-hour film. I will say this about the Chinese theater.
Free catheters if it's 3.5
Well,
hours.
you needed to have some long legs. You need to be able to stretch your legs. About 2.5 hours in, my bottom side and my legs just could not take it anymore. So I got up and ended up standing for the next hour. And I kept getting these complaints from the people behind me. Sit down up front.
Oh, you didn't walk out, you just stood up.
What do you mean?
Nice.
Sit down? So, but the cast.
No intermission?
No intermission.
Well, I mean, like an old school intermission.
Just straight
Yeah.
through. But
Okay.
prior to the film, Scorsese and the cast came up front, and they just kind of waved to everybody, and then they left, and then they started the film. And then there was an after party just across the street, and the after party was what was just absolutely kind of mind-blowing in many ways, because when you think about the typical Hollywood party that you see in film or in TV shows,
Right.
this was it magnified. It took place. They blocked off this whole bottom level of this hotel, and they had the pool, and so you had all these cabanas and people sitting around the pool. You had this huge hamster ball with a woman inside this hamster ball inside. Life-size hamster ball, and she's dressed like somebody from the 50s inside this hamster ball on the water, going across the water. There's a picture of it.
Groovy, baby.
It's crazy.
You don't see that in Bowling Springs.
No, you don't. Maybe on Lake Hollifield once in a while, maybe. But you had several different rooms that were designed to look like they were from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and you had actors walking around in period costumes, taking pictures with you there at the photo booths. they had all of the stuff surrounding the Irishman to kind of tie you into this gangster kind of lifestyle. And there were people around every corner. And you know, going out to the pool, I remember John Savage.
Yeah.
You know, he was in Godfather films. He was there, and I just happened to bump into him. And you know, he's aged a little bit, of course. You know, we all have, but got a chance to see him. Toni Braxton, saw her, and the one guy that I was really happy to bump into, and it was just a pure accident. I was coming around the pool, and then there was this kind of bar area, and there was this couch, and there were a lot of people there. And so I was going to try to walk behind the couch. Well, there's a security guard that says, you can't come back here. I said, okay, and I'm thinking, I'm just trying to get around, but I don't know what's going on. So I walk this way, and I look over, and I realize, oh, it's because there's Joe Pesci sitting on the couch. He didn't want me to walk behind him and, you know, put him in a headlock or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I just stood there, you know, kind of taking everything in for a couple minutes, and I noticed the person who was his handler or his, you know, his publicist, and I just walked up to her, introduced myself, and just asked, you know, if I could just say hello to him. And she said, give me just a second. So she leaned in, talked to Joe, and Joe said, so, like, yes. So I went in, you know, and we talked, and, you know, I just, you know, told him that his performance in this film was amazing. And it was incredible to see him on the big screen again. I said, it was great to see you on the big screen again. And I said, you were just incredibly vulnerable as an actor. You provided this kind of glimpse of humanity through someone who is in the midst of the middle of being a mob boss, but yet you want to connect with humanity. And that was what you saw in his character. It was like, you know, he wasn't just this guy that sent people out to kill people. Mm-hmm. He wanted to connect and have a conversation with a little girl, you know, and be able to be well liked by everybody. And that was just a really interesting thing that he was able to put across. And I told him that, and I said, it really spoke to me. It was great to be able to see that. And he said, thank you so much. That really touches me. He says, you know, I didn't take a retirement. I didn't take a vacation from film like people have said. He said, but I'm at a point in my life that I've had the money. I've done well with my money.
Right.
I've managed it well. I've didn't have to take roles just for a paycheck, like some actors decide they want to do. Right. He said, I'm only going to take the roles that I want, the ones that speak to me. And he said, yeah, when Martin Scorsese, when Marty calls, that kind of speaks to you. You know, if he's asking you to do something, you get interested.
You assume it's going to be a quality piece of work.
But he was so incredibly nice, and you know, he wanted me to kind of get in on his eye level, and so we just kind of sat. We talked for about 10 minutes.
You were down there pretty low then, because he's not a tall guy.
Well, he
right?
was sitting down too. So
wow,
yeah,
okay.
I was on my knee, you know, bending down talking to him. But I was just really impressed by his kindness and his willingness just to have a conversation with me.
Doesn't fit the stereotype of him. Trivia about Joe Pesci that you said you didn't know. Although I told you I told you dealt with Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons.
Yep.
He introduced Frankie Valli to the Four Seasons.
No
They
way.
were singing without him. Pesci knew all of them. Said, you need to talk to this guy they were wanting to add a fifth member or lead singer or something. So he actually brought Frankie Valli to the Four Seasons.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
He was actually a character in Jersey Boys.
And you saw Jersey Boys?
Yeah, I saw it in Bloomington a couple of years ago. Great show, yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Trivia from Greg Tillman, right over there, side camera.
I know all this useless stuff that does me no good in real life.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Well, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk about something. We'll see. We do have some gangster films on Take 5. We might get to that are Scorsese-related gangster films. And we do have a review of The Irishman, and we're trying to decide if we're going to wait until next week when Thomas can join us and do the review. We'll talk about that during the break, but we've got more coming after this intermission.
We just don't know what.
We don't know what, but stick around. Stick around right here on C19 TV's Meet Me in the Booth.
My wild Irish rose, the sweetest flower that grows. You may search everywhere, but none can compare with my wild Irish rose, Irish rose. My wild
Only 2 years until graduation. Then what? The Advanced Manufacturing Academy is a partnership between Cleveland County Schools and Cleveland Community College. It offers you, rising 11th graders, the chance to learn job skills, earn valuable credentials, and complete your high school studies all at the same time. By completing the Advanced Manufacturing Academy, you'll graduate high school ready to start work at way above minimum wage. Check out the Academy and give yourself a head start on a great future.
Hi, I'm Tim Foster from C19 TV.
I'm Rob Root from KTCBroadcasting.com.
And I'm Fulvio Brooks from C19 TV Sports.
Join us for Armchair Quarterback. What's in store on the gridiron in 2019? Can Shelby win a 6th 2A state title in 7 years? Will Kings Mountain challenge for a Western 3A title? How will Burns handle the transition to 2A? And can Crest return to dominance in 3A? Every week we take a look at all 4 Cleveland County High School football teams. Southwestern 2A Conference foes Burns and Shelby, and Big South Conference foes Crest and Kings Mountain. We will look at what happened the week before and look ahead at what's coming up this week.
Each week this season, we'll be naming our armchair quarterback Jammin' Jay's Pizza Factory Player of the Week. We will also break down the SEC, ACC, and Gardner-Webb football.
We'll also do the NFL and the Carolina Panthers.
Nobody covers Cleveland County High School football like Armchair Quarterback. Don't miss another great season right here on C19 TV.
I would tell anybody that's interested in getting broadcasting that this is a really exciting field to be in. The possibilities are endless. And every day is different. There's always something new. You're always on your toes. I think the good thing about, a school like Cleveland Community College is they're really good at keeping up with the latest technologies. My experience with the broadcasting program has been everything and more. I've hosted a television show here. I've done radio shows. I've made my own commercials, all kinds of exciting things, digital animation. And I've never thought I'd have a career in news that I enjoy. It's just really exciting to, have a career where you're in control of what 2 million people in the area are watching every night. It's really exciting and enriching and fulfilling work. It doesn't feel like a job. I mean, I get to hang around all day and make television. I mean, just listen to that.
Now the question is, are you ready to start your journey today?
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me.
Welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies. I think we've decided we are going to hold the Irishman review until next week. But I will tell you, I'm giving it an A rating. I'll go ahead and tell you that up front. So that's the spoiler.
Okay.
I'm giving it an A rating, but it is a long film, 3.5 hours long. So if you go to a theater, like you said, have a catheter, just like Mr. Tillman said, or just have a bottle beside you or something. I don't know, but
I'm sure Lisa at AMC would love to hear that advice.
Yeah, we don't recommend that. But we are going to hold the review till next week, but it is open in select theaters now, and on the 27th of November, you can watch it at home on Netflix, but I will highly recommend watching this in a theater if you get a chance to see Pacino, Scorsese's work, and De Niro and Harvey Keitel and Joe Pesci, so many others on the big screen in this mobster film that covers decades. Check it out.
You think Scorsese would have gotten all the mobster stories told by now, right?
Well, you would think, and that's what we're going to actually talk about is other mobster films from Take 5. This is Scorsese and the mob. So these are films that you should watch, maybe before watching The Irishman. You don't have to. It's not like you have to know these, but the guy, he's drawn to films of faith, family, and crime.
He almost studied for the priesthood, I think, when he was younger.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was definitely that. But he, he's always drawn to those topics, and there have been some of his films that were just so heavy on the faith. A few years ago, the film Silence was just incredible. And I got to tell you, probably the actor to continue to look toward for success in years to come is Adam Driver. And, Adam Driver, many people were first introduced to him as Kylo Ren, but he is not one of those that's just banked on the Star Wars stuff.
Right.
He's got 5 films that have come out this year. And he can do comedy, he can do drama, he can do it all. And
The only time I've seen him do comedy was on SNL last season, and he just killed it.
Oh yeah. Well, in Logan Lucky, if you saw the movie Logan
haven't
Lucky,
yet. It's
you
on
got to
my
watch
list.
that.
Yeah.
He's in that, and he does incredible comedy. I just watched him on the way back home on the plane, The Dead Don't Die, the Bill Murray zombie flick, and it was he and Bill Murray, and he was just kind of this he was deadpan, but it was so funny.
Yeah.
But he's incredibly talented, and he's worked with Scorsese, and I think you're probably going to see him doing more stuff in the future. But that's my face to follow. And when awards come around, there's a movie called The Marriage Story. And if you thought Kramer versus Kramer was the film that deals with family breakup, you ain't seen nothing yet. That's saying something.
And it's not a comedy, I bet.
It's not a comedy.
Yeah.
But I would be shocked if he does not get a Best Actor nomination out of
Really?
that. So Take Five, sorry, we veered off just a bit. Take Five, these are Scorsese and mob-related films, all connected to the ones he's done. He's done so many. Mean Streets back in 1983, this was the first collaboration with De Niro and Scorsese. And if for no other reason to watch this film, that is why to watch it. In order to fully really appreciate The Irishman and appreciate their relationship, I think it makes sense to go back and watch the first time they were together on film. An amazing film, and this is a film that actually filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino and Spike Lee look to say this is the one that kind of inspired them.
Right.
And they take as influential. So Mean Streets from 1983.
But not a big film in its day, though.
No, it really wasn't. It really,
kind of
really
under
wasn't.
the radar.
But I'm sorry?
Kind of under the radar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought you said rated R. I'm like, yeah, all his films are rated R. So
Hugo wasn't.
yeah, you're right. That's right. Not all of his films, but many of his films that are aimed at adults, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. Goodfellas.
R-rated children's films just seemed like that's an unexplored genre.
No, that's a cool world. Is what that is. Goodfellas. You can't talk about Scorsese without Goodfellas. I mean,
Did you tell Pesci he made you laugh?
No, I didn't.
Well, I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you? I make you laugh?
No, I did not. I stayed away from that. But Pesci in that, De Niro, Ray Liotta, Paul Sorvino, just to me, if you watch this film, the most important aspect of the film, other than the storyline and the characters, is the camera work in this film.
Oh, yes.
It was something very unique and very storytelling with the camera work, so highly recommend that. The acting, and also the soundtrack for this one had a really great kind of supporting role, and Scorsese loves using soundtracks and finding ways to do those different. Sharon Stone, De Niro, and others in Casino.
Right. Don
another
Rickles. Don't forget Don Rickles.
Oh yeah, that's right. And there was in The Irishman, there was a character playing Don Rickles.
Really?
As well in The Irishman, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
But Casino from 1995, just a wonderful on-screen chemistry with everybody in this, and the leading cast was just phenomenal. And gambling and crime kind of go together, especially in the Scorsese films.
That was 1995.
That was 95. Yeah, 1995. 2002. Talk about gangs and gangsters. Gangs of New York. When you saw
With
these,
your buddy.
yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis,
Yeah.
DiCaprio coming together. And this was the first collaboration with DiCaprio and Scorsese. And a period piece in the 1860s, some of the most amazing fight scenes and some of the most memorable fight scenes, mass chaos fight scenes that I think are really anywhere on film. And they were choreographed so well, but yet they just felt so natural.
Yeah, this one I haven't seen.
Oh, you haven't seen
I
Gangs of
haven't.
New York?
I haven't.
Man, you need to see it.
Yeah.
And the editing is just brilliant. So Gangs of New York, need to see that. And then also in 2006, The Departed. This is Matt Damon, DiCaprio, and Jack Nicholson coming together in a film that was a remake of a Hong Kong film called Internal Affairs. It's a twisted tale of family. And it really just wonderful performances as well. So The Departed.
Yeah, that's a great movie. I have seen that one.
Definitely worth checking out. And it's amazing to me that when you look at his body of work, and this is just a handful
Oh, yeah.
of his films.
You're not even talking about Taxi Driver and King of
Exactly.
Comedy and
Right,
on and on and on.
right. Not even talking about
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But his body of work in itself, if he never did another film, is fine.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about The Irishman, if this is the last film that he ever does, it is the masterpiece that every other filmmaker would wish that they could make.
Really?
So it's, you know, if he never does anything else.
Was that a possibility? Is he going to hang it up?
I don't think
is there a
so.
rumor? I mean, he's all three,
76, I
Pacino, De Niro,
Yeah.
Scorsese, they're probably all in their, what, mid-70s maybe?
Mid to late 70s, yeah. Yeah. I don't think he's going to hang it up. I mean, just watching his energy during the press conference and hearing him talk, I don't think he's going to hang it up. And in the press conference, we really didn't even talk about that, but they had random names to be drawn for the critics so it would kind of determine where you're going to sit. And mine was on the front row.
Really?
Just really lucky, front row at the press conference. And then they would also draw names to who would ask questions. I didn't get drawn for that, but the guy beside me did.
Yeah.
And he had a question, and his question was pretty funny. He asked De Niro and Pacino that if they played the opposite roles in this film, The Irishman, how would those roles be different? You know, how would have they done them differently? And Pacino, who I was telling Paul earlier before the show, Pacino was bigger than life, and he was like everything you would expect. You know, he's you know, when he was in the press conference, he said, "Oh, I got a story for that. I got a story for that one." He would get up and he would talk, and he was just.
So he did fit his stereotype.
He fit his stereotype, and De Niro was just kind of calm and cool, and he would just kind of sit back and he'd address, answer a question. But Scorsese, you could still tell that he's got this love and this passion for it that he's not going to let go.
Right. Right.
It's still really, really, I think he's got more stories to tell.
Is that only the second time that Pacino and De Niro has been in a film together? I mean, in scenes together, not counting Godfather 2.
Right. Yeah, there was
it Heat
with Michael Mann.
Yeah. And this?
And maybe this, yeah, possibly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but you can't think about one without thinking about the other.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so many people, if you just ask them on the street, they would say, "Oh, they've worked in many films together."
Yeah.
But it was an amazing experience. Really glad that I got a chance to do it, and glad and happy I'm able to share that with you as well. One final thing I do want to share before we get to the quote of the week. Wes Studi from Last of the Mohicans got an honorary Oscar.
Who you worked with years ago.
Worked with on Last of the Mohicans, and he was the bad guy. He was the evil guy. He was Magua in Last of the Mohicans.
Very bad, very evil.
But I've got to say, off camera, one of the nicest people you will ever meet. And to see him get recognized for his lifetime achievement, for his body of work, over 30 films in his career, and some amazing films out there as well. Just wanted to say, congratulations and well-deserved for him to get that honorary Oscar. Gina Davis also got an honorary Oscar, and a few others.
For Cutthroat Island?
Yes, absolutely, for Cutthroat Island. That's exactly right. So we will wrap things up with the movie quote of the week, as we always do. This comes from Tony from Scarface. "I always tell the truth, even if it's a lie." So until next time, Tim and Derek, we appreciate you guys keeping us on target. Thank you so much. Greg Tillman over there beside camera one. And next week we will have a full review of The Irishman, and hopefully Thomas Manning can join us, and he'll be giving his thoughts as well. Thank you all. Email us info@c19.tv if you'd like, and if you don't, well, don't. So until next time.
And they usually don't.
That's a wrap.